It is Monday, April the 27th, 2020, and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is now in session in our first Zoom Commissioners Court meeting. And if we would, we don't have the flag here with us. None of us are in the courtroom except Doug Thomas. So we'll forego the pledge today, but we will have Commissioner Moser lead us in prayer, if you would please.
Thank you, Judge. Bow with me, pray with me, if you will, please. Dear Lord, thank you for this wonderful place that we live. Help us through this bad times that we are experiencing throughout the world. Help us to keep Kerr County as safe as it has been and even safer. Dear Lord, guide us as we proceed through these Commissioners Court. Help us to do the will of the public and guide us in that direction. Lord, we could use some more rain. We would appreciate that. We appreciate all that you have done for us. And we pray this in God's name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, this is a reminder, if you have your cell phones, at least try to mute them so that only you can hear them, so we don't interrupt the meeting. The next item on our agenda is public input. Is there anybody that has any public input for us today? Phone number has been published on the agenda so that the public has access to call into that number. And that is being manned by our court coordinator. She has the phone to receive the call, and we can take it into the courtroom and put it at the podium so that the public can hear what you have to say. Since I don't hear anybody at this point, I'm going to go ahead and move on to commissioners' comments. Now, I understand Commissioner Ballou is in the courtroom. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, so let's start with you. Commissioners' comments.
Really have anything to report. Status is about the same.
Okay. Mr. Moser?
Yes, in precinct 2, we're still proceeding for getting the petition signed so that we can get on the November ballot the option or to address the issue of alcoholic sales in precinct 2. I will note that Representative Andrew Murr last week sent a letter to the governor asking that he consider waiving applicable statutes so individuals can electronically sign the petition for the local liquor option. We appreciate Andy Murr doing that for us. Hopefully this can be done. It's been done in the state of Utah and the state of New Jersey. So that could be very, very helpful. Otherwise, I don't think we'll be able to get that petition signed by going door to door. People won't want it. And those that are trying to get the petition signed don't want to do it. So anyway, that's we appreciate Andrew Murr doing that, all of the folks in precinct 2.
Thank you. Commissioner Letts?
I think the only comment I have is I'm hearing more and more people that are looking forward to us beginning to start opening things up. That's largely going to be dependent, I think, on the governor today, what he says. But there's a lot of interest for us to, start getting back to work a little bit. And I see kind of in that line, more and more people kind of, quote, breaking the rules a little bit and doing things, gathering. So I think that it's, trying to move forward is probably the right direction to go right now. That's it.
Commissioner Harris?
Well, I sort of echo what Commissioner Letts said. I know people are ready to get back to work. I know the people that are high risk should continue staying at home or whatever and take precautions. I think a month into this, people are doing as much as they're going to do as far as the precautions and stuff. So I think we need to open up business, and I look forward to hearing from the governor today. Hopefully he's going to give us that flexibility. So we'll see.
Okay, thank you. My comments are, first of all, to remind the public to tune in for the governor's announcements today. Today's the day that he said he was going to share the recommendations from his task force committee just with the strategy on how we're going to reopen the economy. So I want to encourage everyone to do that. Secondly, on a personal note, I want to show that I do have my mask here. I do not have it on because I'm in the privacy of my office behind closed doors, but I still wear the mask in public. Lastly, I want to apologize. I had hoped to have a proposed budget ready by this week. I don't. I'm putting the finishing touches on it. I'm working with, you'll see on the screen where it says Tanya, that's Tanya Shelton, our county auditor. And I should be ready to roll that out next Monday. So that's pretty much all I have to say before we get on with the agenda. Now, for the public that's looking at this YouTube screen, I want to make sure that we've got Commissioner Blue is in the courtroom, and we don't have a camera on in the courtroom itself. There's one at the podium, and you'll see, where is the podium? There it is. You can see down here, I don't know where it is on your screen, but on the left-hand side, you're going to hear Dub Thomas in a minute when we call that agenda item. And then you got Commissioner Moser, Commissioner Letts beside me. You've got Sheriff Hierholzer over here. County Attorney Heather Stebbins down here. This is Jackie Dowdy. These are faces that you don't always see up close like this. So I just want to make sure they're introduced. Charlie Hastings is our county engineer. Tanya Shelton is her video is off. That's our county auditor. Deb Gifford is our court reporter. She's taking this down. Kelly Hofer is our road and bridge department. And then James R. is the deputy auditor. And where you see Robert's iPad, that's my iPad. And we have Jody Grinstead, our court coordinator on that. And on the phone, I'm not sure who we've got on the phone. But we'll find out and let you know. Anyway, that's just to get you familiar with the screen. What we're going to do now is start the agenda. I'm going to call item 1.1. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the update, facility use, and other matters related to COVID-19. Dub Thomas, our emergency management coordinator.
Morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Once again, we have our situation report. This is our 7th sit rep for Kerr County. Our EOC activation level is still currently activated. All positions are full or have been filled. And we're operating at an increased readiness level. Annex H Health and Medical is still implemented. And we're currently operating at phase 3 of the pandemic plan. Again, the EOC is operating with full staff, but we all work remotely in order to honor the social distancing.
Dub, tell the public what EOC is.
Emergency Operations Center. The call center continues to be open for citizens needing information. The current situation as it stands today, on April 17th, 2020, Governor Abbott issued an executive order to provide Texas with an outline for reopening the state for business. Starting at 12:01 a.m. Friday, this past Friday, April the 24th, retail services that are not essential services, but that may be provided through pickup, delivery by mail, delivery to the customer's doorstep, in strict compliance with the terms required by DSHS. And those businesses' requirements can be found on the DSHS website. Starting April 20th, all state parks were open to reopen for public use. GA16 authorized retail to go effective this past Friday, April 24th. And GA15 allowed certain elective surgeries to be conducted starting April 22nd under certain restrictions. COVID-19 continues to spread. According to DSHS, they call it exponentially, but it's rapid spread, active across Texas. Figures from DSHS indicate the numbers that you have there below you. Texas has had 24,631 cases. The U.S. total 928,619, in the world 2.9 million. Total deaths for Texas 648, 52,549 for the U.S., 207,000 deaths worldwide. Total recovered. These numbers are pretty interesting. If you look at for Texas and the USA, both of those numbers from last week have doubled. 10,763 for Texas, and for the United States, 118,781, and in the world, 882,000 people have recovered from COVID-19. Testing in Texas continues. For total tests, there's been 276,201 tests. Of that, 265,000 have been done by private labs. Public labs have done 10,823 tests. For the surrounding counties, including Kerr County, Kendall County has had 16. Medina is 19 with 2 fatalities. Llano 3, Blanco 6. Burnett County has jumped to 14. Kerr County is, that number that you have there in front of you says 6. That is incorrect. The statewide DSHS numbers showed 6, but the Region 8 numbers show 5, and 1 was reported in Kerr County in error. They're actually in Harris County.
So to clarify, it's Kerr County's 5.
Correct. Kerr County is 5. And the same number recovered, yes, sir. All 5. Gillespie County is 1, Bandera 6. The Region 8 numbers, total active for the entire operating period has been 1,590. 622 have recovered, 61 deaths. Operational priorities, public safety continues to be the top priority. We're going to continue to provide timely and accurate information for the public concerning the spread of the virus and the ways to avoid becoming infected. We'll continue to work with the City of Kerrville Emergency Management, Kerrville Fire Department EMS, Peterson Regional Emergency Management, and their infection control nurse in developing tactics for testing, isolation, and treatment of infected persons. PPE is still coming, albeit slow. I picked up a lot last week that will be used by the Kerrville Fire Department EMS to distribute to some of the local nursing facilities and long care facilities around the county that are running short of PPE. Mobile testing continues this morning at 0900 at the Hill Country Youth Event Center for appointments only. Last week, well, total, they said 106 samples off for testing, 48 screenings from Peterson Regional, 50 screenings from Outreach Clinic. And since we've started, we've had 328 total screenings, and everybody's been tested. 328 total COVID-19 tests, and all have returned back negative.
That's an important thing to emphasize. 328 screenings, all negative, are sent in for testing, all negative.
All negative, yes, sir.
Good, thank you.
Public education and outreach. Peterson Regional has established a line for talking with a nurse, 896-4200, extension 1, for those individuals who believe they are sick. Kerr County, City of Kerrville EOC has established as manned a number of volunteers that can respond to FAQs or frequently asked questions. That number is 258-1111 and is operating Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 for individuals that have questions about canceled local events, closed offices, schools, anything that may be coming out with the governor's conference calls the next couple of days. That information will be there for if anybody has a question. Last week, there were 64 COVID-19 related calls. The City of Kerrville and Kerr County's websites continue to be updated with links for Peterson Regional, the Centers for Disease Control, Department of State Health Services websites. We've established a list of recovery resources to assist citizens and businesses, local businesses with assistance with food, utilities, rental assistance, as well as the Small Business Administration loan process. Again, both of those are listed. All that is listed on the Kerr County website, also the City of Kerrville's website. That's the same.
So Dub, question, is the best website for citizens of Kerr County to get information, the latest information, on the Kerr County website? Is that the best place?
I recommend you the Kerr County website or the City of Kerrville's website.
So anytime, so it's updated as any new information comes in, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Dub, I didn't want to interrupt you while you're going through this, but just for clarification, on Kerr County numbers, you know, I'd heard last week we got, it's either Thursday or Friday, we had 3 new cases, but is that wrong? Because we only have 5?
Yeah, that's incorrect. 2 of those cases belong to Bandera County, and the third one, the individual has actually been incarcerated in Harris County since 2005, but shows Kirk County as his primary permanent residence. Yeah, I know. I don't know whether to say incarcerated. I don't know whether he's actually in jail or they're using that as talking about just living in Houston as being incarcerated. But he's in shows Kirk County as his permanent residence.
Got you. All right, I appreciate that, Doug.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Doug, one other question, if I may, is the Peterson doing elective services now?
They've been authorized to do that as of the 22nd, according to Governor Abbott's 15th executive order, but I don't know whether they've started that yet or not.
Okay.
People aren't getting paid for this yet, you know that.
Okay, I'm sure that, yeah, they're probably going through rescheduling all that stuff.
Anything else? Okay, thank you very much, Doug.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good day.
Two.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Next item on the agenda is 1.2, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the local state of disaster due to public health and economic emergency proclamation that was signed by me on March the 24th and extended until terminated by order of the Kirk County Commissioners Court on March 30, 2020. I keep that on the agenda every week. Just want to remind everybody that that state of disaster is still in effect. Any other comments about that?
I would just,
Just
if I may just add to the comments that Commissioner Letts and others made is, you know, the public is being done great harm by the virus itself, but also by the economic shutdown that we have. So hopefully the governor is going to have some guidelines that enable the community to economically get on a better footing and begin to open up. It's, you know, I think it's going to get down to the point where individuals that are more highly at higher risk are going to have to take care of themselves and let those at lower risk proceed with as quickly as possible. So hopefully that'll come out of that. I don't know that has anything to do particularly with our situation, that Judge, that you have a emergency disaster or disaster proclamation in place, but I think that simply says we're going to follow the governor's guidelines.
Yes.
Just a comment that wearing my Little League hat for a moment. Little League board, executive board's going to meet tomorrow night, I know, and they're trying to figure out what to do with this season. And this is really more since one of the facilities, if not the only facility that may be used, would be the county fields. Does the court have any opinion about deferring to the Little League executive board as to what is done out there, as long as they can figure out a way to do it in compliance with social distancing?
Well, me for one, you know, being a PBR fan, I watched a virtual bull riding last night on television where they made it work. The stands were empty, but they had people pulling ropes and you know, with masks on and the clowns with masks on and everything, but they limited it to like 6 people that could be in there at one time. So precautions can be made. And we can go forward. I really think we need to get back to life in general. People at high risk still need to take the precautions, and that's going to be an individual's choice, whether they go back to work or stay at home. But I think we're going to have to put it back in people's hands to figure out how we're going to do this with precautions and get back to living our life.
I agree with what Don said 100%.
So I take that to mean if Little League feels they can figure out a safe way to do it, the county does not have an issue with them using the county fields.
That would be my vote.
Mine too.
Okay. All right. Just want to give direction.
I would remind everyone that we are complying with the governor's executive orders. And our state of disaster is a mirror of his declaration. And this is not the time to get complacent about our social distancing. This is the time where we really need to, we want to get back to normal, but I think social distancing is kind of the new normal. So I encourage everyone to still maintain the social distancing and practice safe hygiene. So with that, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Jody, I think you can hear me. I think we left that out there on the counter. You might want to bring that to my office. But it's 1.3, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve a resolution honoring Judge N. Keith Williams for his dedicated service as the 216th State District Judge. We have a resolution that we're passing around to the commissioners. I was going to read it. Bear with me while I step outside to pick it up. Right there on the counter. Sorry. The resolution, it's a resolution of appreciation to Judge N. Keith Williams for 12 years of service as the 216th State District Judge and his dedicated service to the residents of Kerr County. Whereas N. Keith Williams has served the citizens of the state of Texas as the licensed attorney of the State Bar of Texas for 42 years. Whereas the Honorable N. Keith Williams served with distinction for 12 years as the judge of the 216th Judicial District of the great state of Texas. And whereas Judge Williams has exhibited integrity, wisdom, diligence, and compassion in service to the citizens of Kerr County and the state of Texas. And whereas Judge Williams has actively worked as a member of the Kerr County Juvenile Board towards the just and proper administration of juvenile justice. And whereas Judge Williams has diligently served as the administrative judge for Kerr County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Kerr County Commissioners Court commends and thanks Judge N. Keith Williams for his many years of outstanding service as an accomplished and dedicated jurist. Be it further resolved that an appropriate copy of this resolution be prepared for presentation to Judge Williams, adopted this 27th day of April 2020. I've already signed it and I will deliver it to the other commissioners to sign. So I will make a motion that we approve this resolution in appreciation for Judge Williams.
Second.
Okay, I made the motion and seconded by Commissioner Harris. Is there any further discussion about the resolution? Those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, resolution passes. Item 1.4 on the agenda, consider, discuss, we're going to pass that one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We don't have another, anything else on the agenda until 10 o'clock. So it's a timed item. And just to give the public a preview of what's coming up, we have 4 timed items at 10 o'clock. They'll take just a few minutes each. And then we have another specifically timed item at 10:30, which is to discuss the public defender's office. And we will have participants on that call, I know, calling in from other counties. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and mute. Yes.
Judge, can we why don't we do the rest of the approval agenda? Can we do that?
Sure.
We'll skip down to item 2.1. Ms. Shelton, pay bills. Tanya? James? Item 2.1, pay the bills. James, there you go. There you go.
The invoices for consideration today, Kerr County, $633,513.45. The airport, $23,225.62. Adult probation, $14,248.72. Juvenile probation, $18,321. And district clerk fees, $760.62.
I move to approve the bills,
Second.
pay the bills.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Harris, seconded by Commissioner Letts to pay the bills as presented. Any further discussion? Those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on. 2.2, budget amendments.
We have two budget amendments. We're transferring money from jail salaries to pay their overtime. These are for open positions. Also for the sheriff's office, the same thing. They have open positions and regular salaries, and we're transferring it to the overtime line to pay for the overtime.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve the budget amendments as presented. Any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Any late bills, Ms. Shelton?
There are not any.
Okay. No auditor reports?
There are not any.
Okay, Commissioner Harris, monthly reports.
All right, for March 2020, Animal Control Services Director Reagan Gibbons, County Clerk Jackie J.D. Dowdy, District Clerk Don Lance, payroll approval month ending March 2020, County Treasurer Tracy Saldan, and Treasurer's Report, County Treasurer Tracy Saldan. I move for approval of the monthly reports.
Okay, I'll second that. Motion's been made by Commissioner Harris. I seconded to approve the monthly reports. Those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, court orders.
Yes, we have the court orders from our April 20th meeting. The court orders 38055 through 38059. They all look to be in order. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Moser to approve the court orders as presented. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That court orders are approved. Information agenda, status reports from any department heads. Okay, then let's move on to 3.2, status reports from any elected officials. And let's move on, status reports from liaison commissioners.
I have something, Judge. At the airport, the airport is open to business. The fixed base operator is there servicing things. Probably fuel sales are down. But I think it's important to know that our airport is open. Other airports are not open for the FBO services. It was reported by some of the flyers around here, some of the pilots. So that's good for Kerr County. And as far as the library is concerned, they're not open to the public. They're dealing with things electronically, however, and they're doing an inventory of 60,000 items in the library. So they're taking advantage of this downtime with public interaction. That's all.
Okay, any other liaison commissioner reports? Okay, I don't believe we have anything for executive session, do we?
Not that I know of.
I saw the shake of the heads. It's a no, right?
Correct.
So with that, we're going to take a brief break. Actually, it's going to be probably about almost a 30-minute break, 25-minute break. And we'll come back at 10 o'clock and we will handle the county engineers agenda items and I think road and bridge. And then at 10:30, we will have, which is a timed item, we will discuss the public defender's office with Texas Indigent Defense Commission. So with that, if you would, I would recommend that you mute your microphones and stop your videos until we reconvene at 10 o'clock. I'm not ending the meeting. I'm just muting. It's 10 o'clock. Next item on the agenda is 1.5. It's a public hearing to cancel the revision of plat for Horizon Section 1, Lot 36R. So this is a public meeting. I'm calling the public meeting to order. Is there anyone who would like to appear or for any insight or comment about the revision of plat for Horizon Section 1, Lot 36R? There being no one, I will adjourn the public meeting. And we'll move on to item 1.6, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to cancel the revision of plat for Horizon Section 1, Lot 36R. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. This proposal cancels the revision of plat for Horizon Section 1, Lot 36R, which is plat file number 19-00762, which combined lots 36 and 37. This proposed plat cancellation returns Lot 36R, which is 14.15 acres, lots 36, which is 7.6 acres, and 37, 6.55 acres, as previously platted in Volume 6, page 391. These lots are in the floodplain and must meet floodplain development regulations. The county engineer requests the court cancel the revision of plat for Horizon Section 1, Lot 36R, plat file number 19-00762, precinct 1.
I move for approval.
Second.
And the motion was made by Commissioner Baloo, and who was the second?
I think I did.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Harris to cancel the revision of plat for Horizon Section 1, Lot 36R. Any discussion? Those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 1.7, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to waive platting oversight and approval to the city of Kerrville for an amending plat for Saddlewood Estates Section 1, Block 1, lots 8 and 9. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you. These lots are located in the Kerrville extraterritorial jurisdiction and would typically be platted through both the city of Kerrville and Kerr County simultaneously. However, in an effort to be more efficient and save owner dollar, there is a request to only plat this property through Kerrville and for the court to waive their right of oversight and approval for the plat. The owner wishes to combine lots 8, 3.26 acres, and 9, 3.25 acres. The Environmental Health Department will remain involved in the review process with the city of Kerrville and will require a signature block on the plat. The county engineer recommends the request be granted. The county engineer requests the court waive platting, oversight, and approval to the city of Kerrville for an amending plat of Saddlewood Estate, Section 1, Block 1, lots 8 and 9, Volume 6, page 319, Precinct 1.
Charlie, how does that get recorded for the county?
It still is brought to commission to the excuse me, to the county clerk, and she records it, and then we get a copy of it.
Okay, I move for approval.
Second.
A motion's been made by Commissioner Blue and seconded by Commissioner Moser to approve waiving platting oversight and approval to the city of Kerrville for an amending plat for Saddlewood Estates Section 1, Block 1, lots 8 and 9. Any further discussion? Okay, those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Motion carries. 1.8, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on Tuesday for a revision of plat for Vistas Escondidas de Cypress Springs Estates, lots 108 and 109. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you. This proposal combines lot 108, which is 2.15 acres, and 109, 1.69 acres, into lot 108R, 3.84 acres. Access to the proposed lot will be from Cypress Estates Parkway and Walnut Parkway. Because there are currently 2 lots, I am requiring a note on the plat allowing a maximum of 2 lots with this plat, should the owner later decide to cancel the revision of plat, which we have an example of that just a few moments ago. The county engineer requests the court consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on June 8th, 2020 for a revision of plat for Vista Escondidas de Cypress Springs Estates, lots 108 and 109, volume 7, page 363 through 364, precinct 4.
I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Harris, seconded by Commissioner Baloo to approve setting the public hearing for Vistas Escondidas de Cypress Springs Estate for 10 a.m. on June 8th, 2020. Any further discussion? Those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. The public meeting will be set. The last thing on our agenda today is a timed item at 10:30. And we will be in recess and reconvene at 10:30 to discuss the Public Defender's Office. So I'm gonna mute everybody. Back to order. We've had several people join us on the line here, and I would ask anybody that's recently joined, if you would just identify yourself so that everybody knows who's on the line.
Chris Schuhart, Medina County Judge.
Okay.
Scott Ehlers with the Texas Indigent Defense Commission.
Here's Jeff. Jeff's on now.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. I'm going to keep monitoring the board over here to see if anybody else comes in. Try to get everybody on as soon as we can. The last item on our agenda today is 1.9, which is consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve a resolution, letter of intent to apply for a grant from the Texas Indigent Defense Commission for a regional public defender's office. We've talked about this before, and I brought the court up to speed, just reminding you that I guess it was a little over a week ago, wasn't it, Jeff, that we had our conference call with all the judges?
I think that's about right.
And at that time, the decision was that to come back to each of our respective courts and request a resolution of intent to file this application. To be modified, this is just a letter of intent. This is no, not the actual application itself, but that's what we're going to be working on. And at the time, Judge Schuhart already had the approval for the resolution from his court. Is that right, Judge Schuhart?
That is correct.
And I now have a copy of Judge Evans' signature to the resolution for behalf of Bandera County. And I don't know, do we have anybody here from either Gillespie or Kendall County on the phone at this time? Jeff, do you know the status of Kendall or Gillespie County?
I think they're in the same boat as y'all, and Scott may know better than I, but I think they're in the same place as Kerr, that they're looking at it this week.
Okay.
I believe, yes, Kendall is going to be considering a resolution later today, is my understanding.
So Kendall's is considering it today also?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so then that would just leave Gillespie. And I haven't heard from Judge Strayer probably since we had our conference call. Okay, so let me open the floor up. I think everybody's seen the proposal. We've had some updated data that TIDC has crunched for us. And we circulated, I think Heather's got a memo out with some of her concerns about these that we need to talk about. So let me just open the floor up for whoever wants to go first on where we go with this.
I guess my original or basic question is, how binding is the resolution we're looking at today, and how, and there seems to be two different directions if we choose to move forward. One's through the nonprofit version, and one is through the regional mechanism. And so that's, how much flexibility do we have to choose those two into the future? And then budget impact is probably the biggest concern I have, and how we work it into the system. So how do all those play into the basic resolution that we have before us today?
Yeah, I can answer part of that, and then I think I'd hand it over to Scott to talk about the nonprofit versus the county model. Our deadline is going to be May 11th. That's just a priority deadline, so it doesn't have to be in by then. But if we can get it sometime in June, I think early June, that would be preferable. You have a county commissioners or commissioners court resolution. How much does it bind you? Really not at all. I mean, this has happened on very rare occasion where our board, we go through all the steps, the board goes ahead and gives a grant, and then the county doesn't accept it. I mean, so we could even go through all these steps. You all could apply for it. We could review it. Our board could approve it. And we send it back to you for, you have to accept the grant at the end of the day. So you all could, once you get that in your lap, you could decide not to even accept it. So you can basically pull out kind of at any time. And then Scott, as far as the county versus nonprofit.
Well, you don't have to make a decision today. Frankly, you don't even have to make a decision in the application that you submit. I think it would be preferable if you did have a decision made on the application, but if you were still contemplating which direction to go, you could even put in the application that we are, deciding what is better, going with a nonprofit model versus a county department model. I would, base the budget on somewhere in the ballpark, I think, of what we've developed for you for a county department. But if you ended up deciding, between the point at which you applied and when you got the grant funding that you wanted to go to the county department model, you could do that. We would just ask that if you were to do that, that in your application, you lay out some criteria on, how you're going to make that decision. Like I said, I think the preference would be, just because it would be, clearer, I think it would be a stronger application if you had made that decision beforehand, but it's not necessary. And for the purposes of the resolution today, this resolution is really just to, tell the other counties that, Kerr County wants to move forward, with the process. Ultimately, the lead county, whatever county that's going to be the lead, will need to submit, a separate resolution to the effect of, we are, this is our agreement that we want an application submitted.
Where are we with the state funding, looking into the crystal ball?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're trying to model out, actually our grants manager, Edwin Colfax, and I have been modeling out different scenarios in what we're in your, you say crystal ball, Commissioner, that's right. It's a lot of it is just kind of speculation on our part. We will almost definitely have our budget cut. I think that the two questions that we're trying to figure out are, one, when is it going to be cut, and two, by how much? And I think that the when question, I think there are two answers to it. I think one, we could be cut in the interim, which would probably happen sometime this summer. Two, it could be cut in the legislative session. So that, of course, that would happen somewhere between January and June of next year. How much, the best, our best guess is that we're probably looking at 10, 15, or 20% cuts. The good news is we model that out. What that means is, we're probably going to have to tighten up a little bit on our formula grants, which are the basically the money that's spread around the state. We'll probably have to tighten up a little bit on our improvement grants, which is what something like this would come from, this public defender office. But as we model it out right now, if we're talking 10 to 15, 20%, we still do have some money, funds that we could use for a public defender office. I guess the only other thing I'd say about that is our biggest priority, once you all would be locked into something, if you wanted to go forward with this, our highest priority is meeting our obligations. So, for instance, we have a grant, with I'm trying to just pick one that's like a comparable size county, with about 10 counties in South Texas, actually, through Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid, or 5 counties in far West Texas through the county model. Our biggest priority budget-wise is to make sure that we're meeting those obligations. So, and then after that, that may mean that, a little bit of money comes out of formula grants, unfortunately, and that there may be a little bit less money is spread around all 254 counties. But yeah, our highest priority is just making sure we meet our obligations with the improvement grants.
Okay.
Well, this resolution is really an enabling thing, not a commitment document.
Right.
Correct.
And even the application is not the commitment document. The commitment document will actually be the acceptance of the grant.
Correct.
Right.
And that's what we've done on other grants too. We've applied for them and then made the decision whether to execute.
And if you remember last year, what we did is we did send in the letter of intent. Then we did not send in the application. And so we're right back at the letter of intent stage again,
right?
Except this time with 5 counties instead of the 3.
Right.
I'm in favor of moving forward with the resolution at this point, and then that somewhat enables us to start preparing budgets and looking at details and number of employees, or how it works with the nonprofit. So I'm in favor of moving forward.
I am too. I mean, we've been talking about this and what have you, and this is not even really in a commitment stage. So let's move forward and go to the next step.
Won't hurt anything.
Well, one kind of do this in short order. I'm curious about the nonprofit aspect of it. But why don't I go ahead and make a motion at this time that we go ahead and approve the resolution as presented to us, that Judge Evans has already signed and that Judge Shuhart has signed, or I guess will sign. And that'll have at least the three of us on it to go forward and follow up with Strayer and Lux. And we're building the momentum as we go to see where we are with this. And in the meantime, learn more and flesh out what these different models would look like. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve the resolution as presented for a letter of intent to apply for a Regional Public Defender's Office grant from the Texas Indigent Defense Commission.
Second.
Okay. I made the motion. It was seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve the resolution as presented. Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
How many models are we going to see?
I think just the two.
Two?
Yeah, I think that's what we'd be talking about. I think we've modeled the basically what a county office would look like. And then Ms. Stebbins brought up a good point, which is, what it would look like if we do a nonprofit. I think the most viable nonprofit as far as public defense in Texas is Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid. So I think the next step with that for us would be to put you all in contact with them, and they can help us model what it would look like from the nonprofit side. So I think a county model and a nonprofit.
When you say modeling, what I think about is the numbers going in, the numbers coming out. But what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say right now, sounds more like a proposal, door number 1 or door number 2.
I think it's a little bit more the former in my mind. I don't know if you all have had a chance to read through the planning study that we did for kind of the county model, and that really shows you, how many actual people are we talking about in this office? What are those people actually doing? What are the staffing ratios? What are the budgets? How much money goes into the office? All that kind of stuff.
Well, how many people are they serving is what I'm concerned with.
Yeah, well, that's in there too.
Yeah.
That's right, and that's in. And Scott can speak, I think, a little bit more specifically to the Hill Country region and the numbers, but yeah, all of it is based on the caseload numbers. That's exactly right.
Yeah, we've done this in some other counties where they wanted to look at TRLA, versus a county government model. I think there's also, we can work with TRLA to, get you some of those numbers and that modeling. I think there's probably a need too for a conversation among the counties to see if everybody's on board with that as well. I don't know. I don't know the degree to which everyone would like to see TRLA run the office or not. But either way, we're happy to work with TRLA to get y'all some figures in terms of what it would look like.
Well, my concern is that if you're talking about, for example, five investigators in an office who have an average workload versus really looking at the numbers really closely and deciding they'll have a little heavier workload and we'll have 4. You see what I mean? I'd like to have a menu to pick from, so to speak, and see what it really means for us in this county and how realistic that is.
Absolutely. And I think, well, a couple different thoughts on it. I think one is that the base caseload numbers, I don't think, regardless of whether you're talking about a county model or a nonprofit, I don't think the base caseload numbers are going to change that greatly as far as the number of cases we'd predict that you all would have. All of that's based on essentially looking at the caseloads for the past 3 years and kind of averaging that out.
Yeah, but how many people deal with it could change.
Exactly, that's right. And I think what you're going to see between the county model and the nonprofit is that Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid tends to staff things maybe a little bit differently than a county model would. And, in both of those, the only other thing I'd add to that is even after we do that modeling, if you all wanted to look at it very closely and take a look and say, hey, look, I see, for instance, you've got 5 investigators. Could we squeak by with 4? And then see if, if we need to bump that up later on down the line, if the caseloads are too high, we can definitely do that. Yeah, for sure.
The attorney levels are generally the same across the models. It is that staffing of investigators, support staff, that's where some differences are. Trala also has their own salary schedule compared to, we had, recommended, basically the same kind of salary schedule as the district attorney or county attorney's office. TRLA, they have their own salary schedule that the organization follows across all of their offices. So that's another difference.
And Commissioner, if it's okay, I'd add one last thing is that when we spoke with Ms. Stebbins, gosh, I guess about 2 weeks ago, we talked in some detail about the differences, the kind of pluses and minuses when you're looking at a county versus a nonprofit model. And that's a little bit of a lengthy conversation, and one that maybe we can have offline. But we're happy, we're at everybody's disposal if anybody wants to talk about the benefits and drawbacks of each of the models. And I think there are several for both of them. We're happy to talk about them.
Thank you.
And as I understand it, Judge Shuhart, your intent is to go forward with this whether we're in it or not, right?
Well, I know that Judge Evans and I have talked, and yes, we need this, and we really want this to happen. As we sit here today, my HR director, I think, has reached out. I know she's reached out to yours, and I think she's talked to all 5, the other 4 counties' HR directors. And so she's putting together kind of a salary study of what all of your DAs make, your ADAs make, what your county attorney makes, what the staff makes, the investigators, so we can have a more educated idea of how much we should be giving these people as salaries. The nonprofit versus county model, I really haven't dwelled into it very deeply, but I would lean probably toward the county model, because I think all the counties that were going to be involved with it will become the management of that in a more direct fashion. So I kind of would lean toward the management, the county side of it, and doing it. But yes, and I also just I know you and I, Judge Kelly and I, have talked about this. Medina County is in my commissioner's court. We've already talked about this. If we did the county model, and if you guys, it makes sense for Kerr County to be the heart of it, because y'all are in the middle of everything. But if y'all have any hesitation on as far as another county managing it, and that Medina County would be willing to do that and take on the responsibility and make them our employees rather than yours, if that becomes a question. But it makes sense that it's in Kerr, but we will be more than happy to take on that load if you guys decide y'all don't want to do that. But I think it makes sense for all of us to be in it together if we can, and hopefully all 5 counties will make that decision.
Will managing of this require a board? Is that how it's going to be set up?
Scott or Jeff?
Yeah, Scott, do you want to speak to the board composition?
Yeah, there should be an oversight board, and the board composition would be worked out in an interlocal agreement amongst all of y'all. That's going to work out the cost sharing as well, and where the offices would be located. There's whether it's a county government model or a TRLA model, there should be an oversight board. They differ in that, if it was a nonprofit model, it would be more of like oversight of the contract. Whereas, if it's a county government oversight board, it's, more of like oversight of the office itself.
And the people on that board, Scott, are the county judges, and our commissioners and other people of that nature, right?
Well, we usually recommend, I don't remember who's on the far west Texas, if they actually have any county judges or commissioners. Do you recall, Jeff?
Yeah, I think we do have a couple of commissioners on there for Far West Texas. And I'd have to go back and look at Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid. I think the short answer is generally we recommend an odd number. So usually in not too big, not too small. So it's usually 7, 9, 11, or 13. And we usually, we try to recommend a lot of diversity on the board. So all kinds of stakeholders on the board, with the exception of anybody who would have a direct conflict with the office.
How would they select? Who selects them?
That would be up to the basically the counties involved in this. I mean, we can make recommendations on it, but I think ultimately it would be up for you all to decide along with the other counties.
I would foresee that each county would certainly select one representative to sit on this board. And then the group as a whole would probably decide how they want to select the additional ones to get it up to a 7 or 9 member board or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what would make sense to me.
I'd agree.
Yes, to me.
I agree.
Any other questions that we have before we take a vote? Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead. All those in favor of approving the resolution as presented, say aye or raise your hand.
Do I have a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Harris seconded it.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
So let's just do the vote again. Those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. We're gonna go forward. I want to thank y'all. One of the things that I do want to do now that we've got the resolution, that's the next step that I'm working with Jeff and Scott on, is we do need to sit down and have, I think, a very robust discussion about this nonprofit model versus the regional model, the pros and cons, and hopefully have with these updated numbers that come out, that we've seen some of them that just came in this past week, be able to sit down and go into some of the detail on the models that we have before us so that we know what we're applying for when we file this application next month. So is there anything else that we have for our TIDC representatives on the phone or Judge Shuhart? Okay, is there anything else we need to discuss on this topic for today?
Judge, if I may, I add only 2 things. One, I just put my cell phone number in the comments here. So if anybody needs it, it's in the chat box. The other thing is, with your permission, we'd go ahead and reach out to Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid and at least just kind of start the conversation with them and so that they're in the loop on this.
I think that would be good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Just put my cell in the chat box as well.
Okay. Well, there being no other business, then the court will be adjourned. I'm going to end the meeting. Thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, sir.
Goodbye.
Cheers.